Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Old School with you here. We're gonna get back into this Mulan box that I had featured on the Toy Box Tours a couple of weeks back, because I realized there was a lot of logic that I thought I had in the game that apparently isn't. I'm not sure why. But we're gonna take a look at this a little bit more, kind of dive under the hood a little bit. Starting right here from the starting block and see what all this thing goes. So that'll get us the horse, and that's the only thing it's doing right now, which is kind of astonishing to me. And then we have our enemy generators that we kind of noticed that way down there, but that's about it. I mean, you have the enemies for the Mulan town, and then you have the enemies back here for the city. But there was supposed to be like radar markers and stuff like that, and I'm not sure what's going on over here. This is our Sky Dome changer. Where did it go to? I just saw it. Well, it's hiding here somewhere. Might be on the other side. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and put some stuff in this game. I just thought that it was already there. So we know the horse is going to appear here. Let's start with some... I'll put it out over here so it's not in the way. Good thing about this water is you can build on it. So we'll go to our creativity toys here. Drop some buttons. Let's put a couple of those down there so I don't have to keep going back to the ribbon all the time. Drop... just one for now. It'll be faster and not to have to go dragging it all the way down. We got a couple of ways we can do this. Oh, we already have the enemy generator, so I'm not going to worry about that. And we already have them with... okay, we're good. So let's go with things like... tell you what we're going to do. Let's get a collector tracker. A lot of people kind of have it mapped out in their mind what they're going to do when they start building a box. Sometimes I do. This is not one of those occasions. I'm just going to kind of throw mud against the wall and see what sticks. So we have a collectible tracker. If you're not familiar with that item, it's pretty simple logic in that the logic were, well, let's take a look at the properties first. So it's going to be all types of collectibles, but you could narrow down to the green rings, the blue challenge rings, the gold challenge rings, the orbs, and all that kind of stuff there. In this case, we're just going to say all of them are legitimate. Show it on the radar. You can say yay or nay to that. I'm going to go ahead and no yes. Usually I wouldn't, but in this case we're going to. So you'll see where all the locatable items are once they appear. So now we go here and to the logic connection. And when the final collectible, because you can collect them in any order you want in this particular challenge, but when you've achieved the final one, you have completed the game, and it'll give you that little victory dance. New logic connection. When this is pressed, we will start the game. Okay. Now the question is, how... I'm thinking how I want to trigger that to happen. I know how I'd like to trigger it to happen, but because the horse hasn't been summoned yet, and he needs to be summoned because it's a disc. It's not like I could just have him there up on the map. By the way, if you remember the last time we played through this map, I was mentioning that you can take care of your sidekicks and all the stuff in the farm over here. And as long as you don't save it, it'll all be right back there. So that's an easy cheat to get your favorite sidekick or sidekicks advanced up in health and strength and powers and all that good stuff. All right, let me come back to this part here. So that's going to be... I'm going to put you over here for right now while I think this through. I think I might be able to have the logic work with this. Let me see something here a minute. I've never tried this before, so new logic connection. When generated, we'll try it when generated. I was really wanting it when you get on the horse, but that's okay. It should still work. Press the button. Okay, so next thing we're going to need is our friend the replayer. I was actually watching a video earlier by That Brown Bat. If you're not familiar with his work, you should go check him out because he's one of the master builders that's still doing this thing today. And while replayers can be tricky and unpredictable sometimes, he was doing stuff with them that I didn't even think he could do with them. That I'd probably have to mess around with a few hundred times before I feel as confident with it as he does. But usually once I've recorded something with a replayer, that's it. I don't want to mess with it anymore because eventually something ends up getting wonky. But yeah, he was going in, recording things, and then backing and going forward and just doing all kinds of stuff. Adding to it, basically. Alright, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to get to our replayer. And we're going to start spreading out some collectible items. So we are now recording. Whatever we do will be recorded until we say stop. So far as the items that we're going to use, I could use orbs. I think we're going to use these blocks. For some reason, I feel like that kind of fits the theme a little bit more. So we'll pick a few different blocks out and put them in different locations, which is supposed to lead you towards these enemies and these encounters. So we'll put one up there. We'll take a blue one. There were enemies over in here to be had. And as I recall, yeah, we did not use the trigger areas to spawn the enemies. Instead, we used the locators. Can this fit underneath? Oh, so close. Oh, it does. It does. Beautiful. So again, this is going to lead your player to using the map. Go with an orange one here. I feel like Bob Ross. Put a happy tree. Happy little tree over here. And then I know there was some bad people over here. So let's go ahead and drop this. Put that there. Got to jump in the boat to get that one. Okay, I think that'll do that. So what that's going to do is lead you all around the map to all the areas where the enemies are located. We're going to hit stop. And we're going to clear. So as we go up, I always like to use flying characters for the build because it makes it easier to do things like this. So everything's gone. And now when we come back here and hit playback, we come back up here, and you can already see on the radar map the items have all popped up there. So we know it's working and it's doing its thing, and there they are. Now, what I mentioned earlier with that brown bat is he was coming in here at this point. He'd go there, and then he'd start recording again, and it will now combine what I just saved plus whatever I add additionally, even though what I've already put isn't on the map currently. See, I thought that by not having it on the map currently, if I start to record again, I'm going to lose that which I had recorded. But I'm going to play with that separately on like just a free toy box with nothing in it, just to make sure I'm feeling comfortable with that. But I was really impressed with what you can actually do. He was putting buildings together and stuff like that in ways that they don't normally fit. And yeah, it was really informative. Professor Toybox and I were just discussing recently through chats that it's amazing after all this time we still teach each other things. All right, so we now have that. We need it to trigger those. So, as we all know, the safest way that I know of is to use a button. New logic connection. When the invite is accepted, we're going to press that button. And then when it is pressed, we will play back. Next thing we're going to do find our level starter. Is that right there? No. There it is. Partner that up here. So basically when you start the level, I'm going to press this button and this button. When pressed, is going to clear. And clearing it at the beginning of the game is what starts it so that it's ready to receive signals. If you don't do that, it's never going to replay. Now, theoretically, you should be able to go straight from here to here. It never seems to work for me. So once I put the button in between, that makes everything play the way it should. This button here now will do that same act for every replayer I put in this game. It'll do it once I connect them, but that's what the sole purpose of this button for me is going to be for my replayers. I think that's something that simplifies the logic at the end of the day. If there's problems to be had, this will help you save time doing some trouble checking. Let's take a look at the properties. There's a 0 delay and it's always active, so there you go. That's all you want to know about that. Because this is something that takes place at the beginning of the level, I'm going to leave it right near the start. This way, if I need to find it later, I'll know where to go. Same with the button that goes with it, since they kind of work hand in hand. And there it goes. All right, so we've got the challenge maker. Let me just make sure. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting here, but that's tied to the horse, and that will start the challenge. The challenge maker. All right, that's got that right. And then over here, on the challenge maker, invite is accepted. That's correct. All right, so we should be good. And once again, this happens pretty early on, so I'm going to leave it here and just drop it down below surface. I know a lot of people will put stuff up around the edges and stuff like that. I don't like the logic to be visible at all if I can avoid it. And you definitely don't want buttons that are tied to your logic to be visible unless they're supposed to be used. Otherwise, I can assure you, during casual fire and things like that, you'll end up triggering things that aren't supposed to happen yet. By putting it down this way also, it kind of reads like a book. It's a little bit simplistic if you're troubleshooting later on. By laying it out in a kind of left to right format, I find it's very similar to reading a page. My early builds, I had logic just everywhere, and boy, if you ever had to go back after the fact, it was like unraveling wires. Okay, so we got the challenge, we've got that, and we've got the orbs, or the collectible items, I should say, which will take us through all of this. Now, the next thing we want is something to tell us that we want to go back over here and visit the city. Number of different ways that can be done. And at the same time, we got to figure out why we're going back to the city. What is it we're trying to accomplish? So these are tied to our elusive. Where is it hiding? Somewhere around here we've got a sky changer. I think it's actually in the city. Like sitting out somewhere, because I remember saying that's something I normally wouldn't have done. But now, of course, I don't see it. I thought it was over here somewhere, to be honest. Let's see. Maybe it's below the bridge. Nope. Well, it's definitely in the game. Wait, what's that? Is that him? Yeah, there it is. Like I said, normally I don't... This one's pretty well hidden, though. Normally I wouldn't have done that, but that's such a good spot. Why not? And then each of these, as you pass through, changes the sky dome. So this box here generally is going to change it to the sky dome we currently have, which means even as you pass through here, it then essentially doesn't do anything because it's already on that sky dome. But once you get here, it's going to change it to the San Francisco dome. Not entirely sure why these extra couple are in here. Might be for enemies and stuff like that. Let's see. Sky changer, trigger area, yeah. When entered. Oh, it's an activate, deactivate. Okay. So it's activating and deactivating the other boxes along the bridge line, so that you'll only have it working in certain directions. I wish I could be more clear about that, but without actually rebuilding it now, that would be pretty hard to unravel. And quite honestly, this is something I did years ago. If I was doing it again today, it might be a lot simpler. So again, we have to come up with a couple of things. A radar marker would be an easy one to have you come towards this part of the map, and then we have to have a reason to come back to this part of the map. I feel like I want to put some path creators down as well and have the cars doing something instead of just sitting static. Why don't we do that? That's an easy. So drop that one there. So I mentioned in the past that that didn't work. that we're still learning all the time with this game, and right now what we're learning is sometimes this doesn't work properly, so just back out of it. Slowly it turns. Dadgum, Houston, I think we have a problem. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, look at that. It froze up. Hopefully, all that game logic that we just poured in will still be saved, and that's one of the good things about this game. It generally does auto backups for just such an occasion. We're going to find out when we come back. In the meantime, I wasn't sure if I was going to do this today or not, but I guess now I am. I've been telling you guys, if you've been listening, that on December that we were having another big community event. 22, I believe, or 23 different Disney creators are going to be doing some Christmas theme Disney Infinity stuff for you guys to enjoy on December 17th. Here is a special sneak peek trailer at what I will be bringing to the table. Hope you enjoy it.
Some of them are considered timeless.
Well, it is Christmas Day, Mr. Scrooge, and it is only once a year, sir. A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Others, a tradition.
No, I want an officer red undercover nice and 200 million by Lee Roswell.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
From the team that brought you The Last Mandalorian and Freaks comes the new holiday tradition. Featuring Mickey, Donald, Minnie, and their friends, Infinifilm Studios brings you the new timeless tradition of Very Mini Christmas, streaming live starting December 17th at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
A Very Mini Christmas will be on December 17th, starting at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. I think I'm going to leave it up for a week and then kind of hide it away until next year. I want it to be like an annual type thing, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, stuff like that. All right, we go to our toy box saves, and then we hope. The autosave is there. That's a good start. Then looks like the game logic was down when it saved last, so let's jump in. The only difference is if this is all still good to go and the logic is still there, then we just have to overwrite the old Mulan save with this one. But that's one of the things about this game that really separates it from all the others, in that you had these safety precautions in there that could have saved. I've had a lot of times where I might have been 2 hours into a build, and then all of a sudden, what you just saw happened. And if it weren't for an autosave, oh boy. I know some of you watch the other channel I have with the professional wrestling stuff. And I can tell you there's been... Oh, I forgot I wasn't supposed to do that. Never mind, it shouldn't hurt anything. So everything is there. It did ask me if I wanted to do the game. So the only thing it didn't do was actually sync the logic below ground. All the collectible items are on the map. I believe our horse has appeared. He has. So we're good. We're just going to have to go through the process once again of syncing this stuff down. I'm just going to leave it right where it's at and just go straight down below. Like I said, the collectible tracker is a great logic because it does several jobs. I mean, there's other ways you could have done the same exact thing. If I had put, I think, 7 items out to be collected, I could have just used a counter, and every time you collect one, have it increment by 1, and when it gets to 7, game is 1. But think of all those steps, right? Now you don't have to do all those steps. Just put that in and say when the final item is collected, that's it. 1 step, boom, and done. Alright, why do I not see... I tell you what I didn't see. Okay, it didn't get so far as the... what you want to call them. Although it did, surprisingly, do something else that I wouldn't have expected. Need our level starter. The objects appeared, which is odd. Level starter, where are you at? Bounce up here. New logic connection. Press the button. New logic connection when it's pressed. Clear. What we're going to do is test this out real quick. And it worked because all the collectibles disappeared. What is this going to? Alright, I might have to do a little separation here just to figure out where we're at. Challenge maker, when pressed, starts the game. Okay, that's good. And then I'm assuming it's going to the vehicle summoner. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's all good. This does its own job. And... so I'm going to put this over here kind of as a separate thing because, like I said, that button's only job is going to be any other replayers I put into this game. I'm not even sure if I will, probably will. But if I use another replayer, that same button at the same time is going to clear all of them. Which, once again, without that clear feature, it's not going to work. You have to clear the replayer in order to get it to work. And there's a difference between clear and reset. You don't want to reset, otherwise you're basically putting it back to square one, so whatever was saved is going to be gone. Okay, so now, let's try this. When the invitation is accepted, press this button. And when it's pressed, playback. There we go. And then when they're all collected, it'll set the collector off saying that's the final object, and that'll send you into the win mode. Now, you can do a number of things. You can just let it run like that. You can put a timer on it. Completely up to you. I like to usually put a timer on it to put a little element of urgency. So let's do that. Now, we've already used this button here to start our playback, right? And let me just make sure 100%, even though I know it's what it is. Yep. At the same time, we can use that same button at that same moment to start the clock. Here's a new logic connection. When the final collectible is collected, we will pause the clock. And last but not least, whenever you get an invite in there, you want to reset the clock. Otherwise, it'll carry over whatever time was left on it. And then we come into our properties and decide how much time you think it'll take reasonably to collect those objects and fight off some enemies. These are in seconds. So at 300, we're looking at, what is that, 5 minutes? That's a lot of time. I'm going to say 120 seconds. That gives you 2 minutes. I feel like that's a good amount of time. And if not, we change it. I'll leave the visibility on. Countdown. I like that. And sure. And again, you can turn the visibility off, which makes it even more challenging because now you don't know how much time is left. You just know you have 2 minutes. That's the great thing about Infinity. You can do whatever you want. Alright, so with that being tweaked, I think what I'm going to do is a real quick save this before we start messing around back there like we just did a minute ago. So we'll go to save. Okay, so now that we have saved that, I think what I'm going to do is load in from the start.
I'm ready.
All right, we're back in. This time we won't launch the logic, so we'll just get out of the trigger box right away. And again, I don't do my builds like this anymore because I learned if I were to import this toy box into another toy box, in other words, if I wanted to consolidate and put maybe 4 to 7 or even 9 other toy boxes all in one just to save room, and I did that with this, when you enter a toy box, let's say this one, from a master location, for whatever reason, it doesn't acknowledge the fact that you're starting already inside of the trigger area. So that when you exit, you were never in there, therefore it doesn't trigger the logic. Don't know why that is, but that's why I've changed all my builds moving forward, knowing that a lot of them will end up getting imported into other boxes to make room. And usually I'll just use a button or something obvious to start out the level. But, and I have a feeling that another thing I could do would be to use the locator and, I always forget the name of it. Dadgummit. It'll come back to me in a moment. Not the radar. Dynamic trigger, thank you. I have a feeling if I used a dynamic trigger instead, it might be different. Because you can do that the same logic. You could say once you leave the area of the dynamic trigger. So that would be a possibility. But for right now, and the fact that I don't really have an immediate need or desire to import this box to anything else, I'm going to leave it as is. I may end up coming back later, though, and doing this. So at this point, we have all of our logic ready to go to launch the challenge. And what we were starting to work on before this thing crashed on us earlier is putting some life in the city back here, because these cars are just sitting here, which is pretty boring. So let's get our path creators. Hopefully this time it'll work properly. Yes, we have yellow. There you go. We're going to put a point there. Put a point there. And put a point there. So what I was mentioning right before this game froze up is that we still learn from each other. And what I had learned from Professor Toybox back with his Endor run from Star Wars Challenge a while back was that you can branch these off, and I never even realized that the prompt is right down there too. I don't know how I never saw that, but I didn't. And by branching off, the AI is going to decide on its own randomly. So what I'm going to do right now is put a branch and have it come down this way. And we'll say over to here for fun. And then we'll pop out of that. Now that means that the car could continue all the way down, or it may decide to take the left-hand turn here. Now we got a couple of other points that we can branch off of, and we're going to do that. This way there's no knowing where the traffic's really going to end up going. It could go anywhere. Now, I'm not looking to tie this all together and loop it and reconnect it and all that. So when the car does finally reach its end point, it will disappear and reappear wherever it last branched from, which is okay. It'll still be a little chaotic with cars driving everywhere, and that's really all I want, is just add a little bit of life to an otherwise pretty tired city. So we got that going. So we need another one down here for this dude. Now, in this case, we're not branching off yet because he's at a dead end, doesn't really have a choice. But we'll put one here. And we'll put one here. And again, here's a branch where he has the option of going all the way down. And as we come back up here, no, it's not letting us put a branch on there for some reason. I wonder why. Not gonna mess with it. Don't want it freezing up on me again. Let me try something though. Nope, won't. It's odd. You should be able to do more than one branch. Alright, so that'll tie to that one. Once I connect them, they'll start going. I just don't want to connect them yet. Suppose what I could do. Bring this back with us. So when this is on, that'll turn the path on. And when it's off, it'll turn the path off. The reason I do this, eventually this is going to go away. Well, maybe not. So right now, the paths are on. Now they're off. So now I can connect everything. And they're not going to go anywhere. Now what I can do is go in here, go to our properties, toy box path, and we want to make sure we orient it. Otherwise they're going to drive sideways and stuff like that. So make sure you hit orient. And again, this is why I like to have flying characters during the build. It's easier to move around. So it's a new path connection. This should now be off. It is. And once again, go to your properties, toy box path, and now it turned a little bit. I'll show you why in just a second. Right now, so good. We're set to loop, so it'll start back over again, either from this point or from the branch if it takes that branch. The reason it started to turn a little bit is because for it to cut out here, you can't really see the path creator at the moment because of the way it's built into the road, but it does curve. So the car is going to curve out this way and swing left. Okay, let's get back to it. So that takes care of those two vehicles. I think what I'm going to do with the police car here is bring him all the way back and let him start from here. Oh no. Hopefully it doesn't freeze up again. We'll see. Nope, it didn't. Alright, get rid of that one. There we go. Okay, dodged a bullet on that one. We already have a car going down that way, and there's already a police car down that way, so we're going to have him go up further before having the option to turn. So there's his branch. So he's going to be ending up making a kind of a hook turn here, but I'd like to keep him in his lane as much as I can. And we'll just have it come to this point. And we can grab this dude. New logic connection when it's on. That'll be on. And when it's off, that'll be off. But for right now, we're going to have to manually do it. Otherwise, we'll turn the other guys all back on. I don't want to do that yet. So that's off. That's connected. And once again, go to our properties, toy box path. Orient along the path. Alright, I'm going to do a few more of these, but I'll speed this up for purposes of time, and I'll connect or catch you once this is all done. Okay, so we've now connected every vehicle to a path creator. Some of the path creators simply just go up and down the street, and the car will just rerun that cycle. It's just to put some motion in there and give the city a little bit of vibrance, a little bit of life, so it's not just a bunch of cars sitting still. Once they're destroyed, they're not going to replenish anyway, so that'll just make it a little bit more interesting. Some of them will make left turns, right turns, things like that. Others won't, but it'll put some motion in there, which is going to make a big difference. Now, right now, it's all set through... Let's see if we can find... There he goes. Put it in the middle of the map. So our on and off switch right now, everything's off. Whenever that button's off, they're all off. Whenever it's on, they're all on. We'll turn them on at a certain point. If they're running in general, it's going to use more memory up. Not that we're in any danger, but why bother putting any strain on the game that's not necessary? What I'm thinking is I'm going to have some sort of a radar or maybe a mission giver pop up after you complete the collectibles. And that will be the moment to trigger the traffic so that by the time you get there, it's already in motion and it looks like things are happening in the city. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and that is to decide how we want to do. So I've been feeling a little nostalgic, I'm not going to lie. Let's go here, and which way do I want to go? This way? No, that was right the first time. We can use cast members, character townspeoples, Infinity townspeoples, 1.0, 2.0. Question is, who do I want to use? Mulan came out, I think, in 2.0. I'm going to check 3.0 in case to see if they have any Mulan type townspeople in here. Got a lot of Star Wars, Echo Base, Ewoks, Jawas, droids. You name it, they got it. Gungan. If it weren't for that. Let's see. Maybe it's 2.0. Got the police, it's like the village people here. You got the cab driver, you got the construction worker, got the cops, firemen. Hey, we're good to go. Give us a Native American and we'll have them up there doing the YMCA before you know it. Trying to find somebody who has more of an Asian theme, maybe the hat. That would kind of fit the theme of the toy box. And I don't think we're going to find one in 1.0. But we'll check. Navigator. Let's see what he's looking like. No, that's a pirate looking dude. Almost. Oh, here we go. That works. This one works too. I'm gonna go with this one. Alright, so we're gonna place him here and then quickly try to grab it. There you go. And then properties, behavior, stand still. Now the problem is, this is where he ended up standing still. So even if I put him over here, odds are he's going to walk back to that spot. And if not now, then once we reload the game in. We'll see though. Now there are some characters, like Obi-Wan is notorious, that if you tell them to stand still, and we saw it with Elsa as well, that they're still going to wander wherever they want no matter what. They don't behave the way they're supposed to. But in this case, that's not the problem. Alright, so here's what we're going to do to make him a mission giver. I haven't done this in a while, so this is going to be fun. Can't say the word. Creativitoys. And we're going to get a couple things. We're going to get a marker. No. Yeah. What do we want? We want a radar marker. We'll take a radar marker. Boom. And here's something I haven't used in forever. We could use that, but we're not going to. Action, fortune, no. Here we go. Text displayer. So they have text that's already saved in the game. It's kind of generic, but better than nothing. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, we want a dynamic trigger as well. Otherwise, you can do it from anywhere. Let's do a couple of things quickly here. First off, let's go to our properties and decide what we want. And it's going to either be the blue exclamation point, blue, what you call there, question mark, blue ring, blue arrow, or yellow of the same options. Your choice. I like for questions, generally speaking, I would go with yellow, and then for action, so far as mission giving, I would usually go blue. In this case, I would say it's not so much a question, it's an action, so I'm going to go blue with the exclamation point. Beacon visibility is all. Beacon location will be a connected actor. And for the moment, it's off, which is fine. Okay, we want that. Now, actor connection goes there. So now he is automatically connected with that. Let's go back to our properties one more time. Turn it on. Yep, that works. It'll be over his head. That's what we want. But for right now, it's not on. And there's a reason for that. Now we're going to go to our dynamic trigger, which I do love this thing. I really do. And again, this is distance and steps, generally speaking, that the character takes. So I'm going to say you want to be within 3 steps. of the connected actor. There's that. Okay, so once again, and these are those times where it is actually easier to use your character in the build, because that spark is just a little tricky. It's not as pinpoint precise on a small object like that. New actor connection. There's that. New logic connection. Whenever that space is entered by player any, we're gonna have it do something. Now the question is what? Victory, loss, angry, scared, warning, confused, question, negative, start. Let's see what the start options are. Let's go to our G ready. Let's get started. Go. Now, back in the day, you could make your own text, and it would say, your father's been kidnapped. You must go into the city and save him. Can't do that anymore. That's part of the thing we lost with the servers. Stop. Noun. Noun? Eggplant. So realistically, you could string a few of these together, perhaps. Encourage. You got this. Keep going. Don't give up now. Now you've got it. That's the way. Look at you go. That's great. Perfect. Comic sounds. Didn't realize that was an option there. Survival modes. What's that looking like? Ah. It's a little bit better. Search for enemies. Proceed to the exit. Preparing next level. Difficulty increase. Prepare for enemy attack. I like that. Intermediate. Expert. Master. Survival. Clearing all traps. Beginner level. Defeat all enemies. We're going to go with defeat all enemies. Okay, I am thinking through something here real quick. Go back to our friendly button over here. What we're going to do is when this is pressed, new logic connection, when it's pressed, that will turn off the dynamic trigger. And when it's pressed, it will deactivate. And realistically, this doesn't do anything without the dynamic trigger anyway, so it's automatically off by default in that scenario. Okay, so what we want to do here, where do we put the game logic? Down here, right? Yep. Actually, you know what? Not that. Let's go back to the horse. New logic when generated. Press the button. So what that's going to do is that's going to turn all the logic for this guy off. He'll just be standing there, but while you're collecting, you're not going to have any engagement with him. That being said, new logic connection. When this is pressed, that'll go on. Activate. And what will make that happen is when we have defeated the challenge. New logic connection. Game is complete. Press that button. Okay, so what that does for us right now is essentially eliminates the mission giver until you've completed the first challenge. And we'll move this over a little bit more, make room. And it really doesn't matter if he does, when we respawn the game, if he does move up a little bit or whatever, that radar marker is going to follow him wherever he's at, so it won't make a difference, really. Unless you're putting something together where they do need to be at a specific location, in which cases, yeah. You'll figure out some of them behave very much the way they're supposed to, and others, not so much. And again, the two I know for a fact are Obi-Wan and Elsa. They kind of have their own little mind. And they're part of the SAG union, so there's nothing we can do about it. Alright, so that, in theory, should launch the second challenge, which will send us to the back here. Now what we want to do is, hold that thought a moment, a couple of things. We want a radar marker to go off in the city to lead you to the city. New logic connection whenever entered by player, any. What we're going to want to do is turn all that stuff back off so you don't keep this radar marker going endlessly. And this is the button that turns everything off. So once you have your communications with them, and you could have just as soon done that, really. I could have said that once you displayed the text, it turns everything off. Probably a better option. Let's do that. Let's do that. Trigger area, get rid of that. New logic connection. When any text is displayed. Actually, you know what? Let's try it this way. No, I'm going to stick with it. Any text is displayed because we want to turn off the dynamic trigger as well. So we're going to do the button. I was going to go just to the radar marker, but that would have only taken care of part of the problem. So there we go. As soon as the text is displayed, that should turn off the radar and the dynamic. Boom. And he will have served his purpose. Now at the same point, we can use for our next aspect of this, and let's get it set up right here so it's all close by. We're going to use a locator. And go back to our radar one more time. So the last time with the radar, we connected it to the actor. This time we're going to connect it to the locator. And what we're going to say is this. New logic connection. When any text is displayed, boop, activate that. Which, let me double check and make sure I did that right. Properties. I did not do it right. I forgot to change that to the locator. And by default, it's off, which is what you want. And it'll turn on. I'm going to go with the question mark on this one. And then in this case, we're going to put this guy down here. And because it happens after the rest of the event, I'm going to put it behind so that you're kind of funneling your way through all this, and then you get to that next. going to take this marker and run them all the way into the city. Realistically, he doesn't have to go deep into the heart of it or anything. Just as long as you get them to the city, that's all you caring about. And then what I would do is when you enter this one, new logic connection, whenever entered by any player, deactivate it, and that'll turn it off. All right, we're going to save this. We're going to jump in and run through it one time. We can still set, like, we have a collection challenge going on here in the village. We can set up some sort of something to happen in the city. It doesn't, you know, because as of right now, you're just going to be fighting bad guys. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And I think for this one, because I'm not going to do that today, so I'm going to just go ahead and use Mulan now. So give me a second.
Hello again.
Such a dramatic entrance. Alright, I just want to make sure I don't accidentally trigger the box for the thumbnail. Try and get the angle about the same. And then we will save that. Alright, so now we can test the whole thing out and see what happens. Start the challenge. Oh no. First problem, Houston. That didn't take long.
Oh, you're back. Then we should go.
Yeah, so what we forgot to do is connect it to the locator. So that's a pretty easy fix. And that should fix that. All right, we'll try it again. one. Got that one. And now we have our enemies. Not seeing the
This
clock.
is fun.
Ooh, got away with that one. I thought I stuck it out too long there with him. Now I could put a crash box down or a trigger area. I call it crash box because we would be attaching the toy that pretty much brings instant death. And you could put that in the water if you so chose to. Now the question is, can she get up here? I wasn't thinking about that. That could be a problem. Okay, so quickly to our bag of tools and nope. Swap. Well, we're going to definitely need that right now to make up for some time. I'm not sure why the time is not showing, though. Things are not working out well for me right now. There it goes. Get out of here. See if they fall in the trap. No. It was worth a try. Got to figure out what's going on with the clock. The clock's not showing up. Go for a swim. So most of that worked properly. We didn't get to see the clock showing up, so we got to figure that out. Now, as we turn, we notice that there is, besides a couple of enemies trying to kill us, there is a radar marker that's appeared. So why don't we go check that out and see what's going on with the radar? As if we don't know. So far, the only thing not working was the clock did not show up on the screen. It may have been working and just not showed up on the screen, but we can fix that either way. So once we get within 3 steps, defeat all enemies. And for that, we can go grab our horse if we want to. It's a long bridge without a horse. I wonder if it's going to trigger... No, they don't respawn. That's good. All right, so the radar turned off of our mission giver. That worked out properly. It should also not trigger text again, which did not. That's working fine. And now the cars should be in motion when we get there. Sky dome changes. And cars are not in motion, so that's another thing we have to now work on. Okay, so let's see. Couple of things. The clock. Let's take a look at what happened with that. The radar is there, or the collectible thing is there to stop the clock. So I'm going to guess the only thing wrong here is if we go to properties, target 120, visibility is on. Countdown is on. So that was my first thought, is that we didn't do that. Challenge maker. Accepted. Resets. Ah, wait a minute. I'll bet you anything. New logic connection. When the game is started. Yep. Start the clock. So we actually didn't do that. Now the clock will come up and we'll see that. So that takes care of that problem. And now, excuse me. Traffic. We want to see. New logic connection. When any text is displayed. Turn it on, and that'll get everything moving. All right, we should be good. I've got confidence that this will have everything now working properly. There's always a little bit of tweaking at the end. Oh, actually, while I'm here still, hold that thought a moment. We need to figure out how we're going to get up here. And I know the answer already, so let's do it. We need to put a scalable object there. So let's go to our platformers. And I'm thinking maybe just a ladder should do it. It'd be kind of odd to have a pipe on the side of a mountain. But I can see that somebody would have put in a climbing ladder. Perfect. And now you'll be able to get that item down with any character. I knew that was going to happen. Again, I don't want to trigger anything, so I want to make sure I stay out of the box. All right, let's give it another whirl, see what happens here. And again, we can go any direction we choose. I decided to go left this time. I think we did left last time too, though, so. Hello, gentlemen. And this time we can see the clock is ticking. Which means we do gotta be aware of that. Oh, we're wasting time on this. And, oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make the time. Matter of fact, I know we're not gonna make the time. I miscalculated this jump terribly. That stupid ledge got in the way. Now, would this have worked? Yeah, I could have done that. I couldn't get over that stupid ledge. There's our villager there. He's not doing anything because the game hasn't got to that point yet. Yep. So like I said, this time around... Oh. Never mind. We still have to fix something. The clock, when it expires, has to let it know that you failed. What are you doing in my neighborhood? So, still not 100%. Hello, gentlemen. Goodbye, gentlemen. So we will have dodged a defeat on a technicality. So like I said, we could put the kill box on the water if you want to make the water like an area you can't go in, you'll drown type of thing. I may end up doing that too because it's kind of silly to have it there and then you're walking on it. I mean, I know it's Christmas and all, but... I dare say that took a little more than 2 minutes. Alright, let's get to our radar marker. Actually, let's get to our pony. Oh, dadgum, where'd you come from?
You fight for nothing.
Come here, you. That's for you. That's for you. Alright, I ain't got time for the rest of you. I'm gonna go get my horse. What if they'll follow me to the city? What are you doing to my horse? Come on. Let's see what this guy wants. Defeat all enemies. Okay. Locators, come on. This time around, traffic should be moving. It is moving. The city is alive. As you see, the cars kind of start and reset and do what they're going to do. Love the police driving by, not doing anything. Thanks for the help, gentlemen. Must be in Portland. Oh, there goes the street sign. Oh, we have a collision.
You leave me no choice.
Little things. It took a little time to put all the path creators in and all that kind of stuff, but it definitely makes it more enjoyable to have the cars moving around and becoming a part of the battle, so to speak. And just like that, I guess we've got it. Because there's no challenge maker with this, it doesn't actually end, per se. Oops, can't go that way. But there we have it. So the clock worked, except for the fact that it didn't tell us that we lost the game because it took too long. But everything else is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So all I'm going to do is load back in a moment and change that one aspect and make it when the clock expires the time that you are defeated. Other than that, everything is working fine. So that's going to wrap it up, I think, for this one. Now we have the remastered Mulan box, which does what I thought it did to begin with. Maybe it was just in my mind that that's the stuff I was going to do and just never got around to it. Could be that way. All right, everybody, I'll be back with more, and don't forget to mark your calendars for December 17th, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you'll be able to get a look at the release of a very mini Christmas. Really like the way this thing turned out. I think you will, too. All right, guys, in the meantime, I'll remind you, as always, Disney Infinity is the game where the only limitation is your imagination. We'll see you right here on A&G for more Under Construction.